Today's story is titled The Ember in the Cold by ViperOnAPlane. The link to the story is in the description below. Please enjoy.
Lucas could still remember when the world was vibrant and green. Sunlight spilled through the leaves in shifting patches as he and his sister ran through warm summer nights that felt like they could last forever. It was a world he never got a chance to show his own children. A warm, bright place that continued to burn in his heart in storms like these. A pocket of warmth in a tirade of frost. It was always cold now. Unless you were near geothermal areas, winter hung heavy, ready to claim any soul that underestimated it. It had all begun when he was 18. Winter came one day and simply never left. All the other vibrant colors shifting to whites and grays. The only breaks in the monotony coming were the blackened skeletons of dead trees or gleaming bright red carcasses of animals that finally fell to the cold. He put the pleasant memory away, focusing instead on what he could feel right now. The crunch of snow under him, crackling like thin bones. The pain in his shoulders and back from where the sled full of coal tugged against him, making his march much more difficult with the weight of salvation. The feeling of his own breath freezing to his beard and balaclava as soon as it touched the frigid air. Today, the cold bit deeper. Each breath burned as though shards of ice were settling in his lungs. Worse still, a waxen numbness crept into his fingertips, chilblains turning flesh to stiff, aching needles. Lucas started doing the math. Looking at his watch, he realized he wouldn't reach home by nightfall, or whatever passed for nightfall now. He hadn't seen the sun in decades. Night would drive the temperature from -20 into something truly lethal. He was prepared for the trip. He was not prepared for the nightfall. Fuck. The word cut through the growing winds like a blade, the echo of it cementing that Lucas was speaking into a void. He chose another path. His family needed coal, but they would hold through the night. He shook off the nylon that leashed him to his task, the threads creaking in protest. He grabbed his rucksack off the sled and pulled a shovel from it. Rustled and brittled from the cold, but it was the best he had. He started to carve a shelter from the snow, each bite into bringing survival a little closer. After an hour, though, all Lucas had managed to do was dig a shallow grave for himself, fresh powder pouring into the hole as fast as he could clear it. That, and the snow packing into a hard shell under him, told him this would be a greater fight than normal. Then, it broke. The shovel bouncing off what had to be ice. He had struck it hard enough that the vibrations woke his numbed hands for a moment. Then it shattered. Shards of rusted steel and flakes of snow bouncing off Lucas's face and beard. He went to throw it away, instead managing to steady himself with the memory of days so warm he yearned for something cool to drink. Of the days where he would jokingly wish he could turn off the sun. When he opened his eyes, he found himself still stuck in the tundra. His father's words rang in his head as he said, "Wish all you want, it won't change." He resumed digging with his half shovel, moving faster than he had any right to. He shifted his mind from memories of before to memories of yesterday. Claire holding their newborn, Harford pulling at his sleeve to show that he had gotten the fire going all by himself. of a hearth and home that was waiting and needed him. By the time the thoughts ended, he had a little hole to hide in for the night. Not comfortably, but so long as he had a fire, it was livable. Pulling the only dry wood he had from his rucksack, he set to the task. "Seems I live another day," he said, smiling. His smile faltered as a new problem has presented itself. The cold in his hands left his fingers unbending, like dried twigs fighting to stay as rigid as possible. The gloves weren't helping. As he went to remove them, he felt the cloth catch. They had frozen to him. All he could do was think, "No," on repeat, breathing heavily on his hands to try and loosen the ice on them. When he tore the right glove free, it took skin with it. Muscle and raw tissue followed in a wet, reluctant strip. Blood barely moved, too thick, too cold to flow. He didn't feel it yet. It was too cold to feel it. He needed fire. Now. Fighting with his frozen hands and kindling, the sparks from the ferro rod refused to catch easily. By the time the fire caught, night had already taken the world. It was a relief. Even the pain in his hands as the frost fell away was a reminder that he was still here. The meal was small, a stew made from melted snow and small bits of rabbit meat, some carrots from a can, enough to keep one's stomach from eating itself. Lucas closed his eyes, thinking briefly of home, accidentally letting himself fall asleep in his pocket of life. The world didn't miss the chance. He woke to a chill reverberating up his spine. The fire was out, and the shelter was filling with snow. His hands were gone to him. Every time he tried to flex them, the muscles refused to move. He could feel the cold starting to worm its way into his feet and legs. His time was up. He looked to the sky, almost saying a prayer when his father spoke again. "Wish all you want. It won't change." Fuck. The wind swallowed it before it could echo. Lucas sat there, trying to gain the will to move again, finding that he couldn't pull on the memories from life before. His mind refusing to acknowledge that summer ever existed. He wanted nothing but sleep. Then he heard his wife. "You have to come home. I can't go out there, and Harford is definitely too young." That was enough. He dragged himself from his grave into the growing blizzard, scrambling through the snow to find 2 nylon ropes, both of them creaking from the movement. He strapped himself with the salvation once more. "Come on, man. You have to get home," he muttered into the maelstrom. Beginning his march again, he pointed his way home. The thoughts of fire and home made him take another step whenever he faltered. It took hours. He couldn't feel his face, or anything else for that matter. Just that little ember in his chest that refused to go out yet. Then he saw home, and his voice spoke for the first time in his head. "This is far enough." Then, something changed. Lucas felt his heart begin to slow. Despite the icy wind cutting into his skin, warmth passed over his burning blue hands like a soothing balm. The snow no longer felt like 1,000 needles pricking his flesh, but a cloud-like cushion. Lucas's thoughts, as well as his vision, became muddled. Yet, there was still a noticeable voice in the back of his mind, slightly muffled by the sirens in his head lulling him into a final slumber. But it was still there, still screaming at him to get help, that he was only 20 steps away. Winter would come for Claire and the children next. Lucas knew that. Yet, all he wanted to do was sleep. He laid down and the world went quiet. Then next day he was found. He had made it home.